All right. Welcome to the Week 8 report or update. Here in Week 8 means we've got 6 weeks left, which means we're getting near crunch time. Still nobody mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, but a few teams got their work cut out for them, and they know who they are. But so we'll get straight into the whip around, and Kathy starting to pull away in the points race in at 1,205 points, and firmly in second place there in the Lombardi. So what I thought I'd do for the whip around this week, being as it Halloween night, is kind of go through what's scary about each team, or what's scary for each team, going the rest of the way. Obviously, Kathy in the driver's seat in the points race, not too much going on scary. But one cause for concern is Jacoby Myers. Seems like he's been, he's been above expectations this year, but the last couple weeks seems like maybe coming back down to earth. And I don't know if anybody watched the game Monday night, but the Raiders offense just like garbage. So kind of scary to think that Myers might, come back down to earth, and that could hurt like a solid scoring option. And then also, just Kyle Pitts not ever coming through at the tight end position. That can have a way of derailing a playoff run. But that'd be the two scary things I would see on that team. And then we'll go over to Pat. Been near the top here of the points race all year long. The Hemp Hogs in at 1135. And the scary thing for them would be Mostert, who's been, more than you could ask for so far this year. But as some of these Dolphins running backs, Jeff Wilson and Achane, start getting healthy, maybe that kind of cuts into his workload a little and, reduces his effectiveness. And then also Olave just never not getting on the same page with Carr, it seems like, and a lot of people expected big stuff out of him. So if he never really gets it going with the Saints down there, that could be that could hurt the team coming down the stretch. In at third place is the Fargo Ice Holes at 1,109 points. Another team that's been, 6 wins in a row, playing as solid as can be, but the scary thing, I think, for them would be if Adam Thielen were to kind of start showing his age. He's been about as rock solid as it comes at the wide receiver position. But again, he's 33, and the scary thing would be if he maybe starts kind of, tiring out down the stretch here. And then also maybe kind of that flex position where you haven't had really anybody that's been, a consistent contributor. You've had flashes from several different players down the roster, but nobody that's really kind of stepped up and been that consistent kind of flex option for the Fargo Ice Holes there. In at fourth place in the points is the Rasa Dogs at 1095. The scary thing for them would be, obviously, if Debo doesn't get healthy, or maybe this injury, remains like a nagging injury throughout the year, because it really needs kind of that complement to Tyreek Hill there at wide receiver. So if Debo's injury remains, nagging down the stretch, that could be a scary thing. And then also kind of similar to Tony's team, that have had flashes at the flex position, but no nobody's really stepped up and kind of taken it over and been that kind of rock that you can have in your lineup. So those two things would be the scary things for the Rasta Dogs. And that'll take us over to White Bronco in at 1,059 points. Scary thing for them is the running back position in general. I think Sanders been a huge disappointment. Actually ended up with 0 points this past week. But then also you got Najee Harris, who's underperformed, and really Pollard got off to a quick start, but he's kind of been not as consistent lately, just not putting up those big weeks, hasn't scored touchdowns and a lot of touchdowns this year. So it's kind of the scary thing is the running. If you don't, the receivers have been good. Lawrence seems like he's coming around, but if you don't get any production, any consistent production out of your running back, that can definitely be a scary thing going down the stretch. And that'll take us over to Ingrown Hairs in at 1028. I think couple scary things for them is DeAndre Swift has been putting up a lot of yardage, catching the ball in the backfield, but it's the thing that's holding him back, I think, is Hurts getting all the goal line opportunities. So that kind of caps his ceiling a little bit. And then also with Cooper Kupp and Jordan Addison, both their quarterbacks going down to injury. Obviously Addison's going to be all year, or if Stafford, if he's out for a length of time, that's really going to cut into Kupp and Addison's production, and take a big chunk of scoring out of the lineup for sure. All right, we'll go over to Houday 23 in at 1,017 points. And the scary thing for them is also, I think, the running back position, where you got Jones, Javonte Williams, Henry, all have had, flashes. Williams of late, Jones early, Henry kind of has been hit or miss all year. And again, you need that, if you're making a playoff run, you're going to need that consistent running back scoring. And that could be a scary thing if one of those three, at least one of those three, doesn't kind of step up and take the reins there as we head down the stretch. And that'll take us over to the Your Mama in at 1,003 points. Kind of the scary thing for them, James Cook, who again's shown flashes, Buffalo, but then they just signed Fournette today. It seemed like Latavius Murray was kind of cutting into his goal line touches, so that kind of caps that ceiling at the running back position if they're not getting those goal line carries. So we'll kind of see how that offense, the carries kind of shake out with that addition of Fournette and how they use Murray going forward. And then another scary thing is, Christian Watson has never really kind of got going, and it almost seems like Jordan Love's kind of regressed a little bit. And just him and Watson really haven't got on the same page, kind of how Favre Rodgers was, finding Watson for touchdowns last year. That hasn't seemed to click with Love yet. And then the big scary thing would be, obviously, if Jefferson doesn't get healthy here coming down the stretch, which obviously it's been a giant hole and could continue to be a giant hole in the lineup there for Your Mama. All right, we'll head over to TD Twisters in at 925 points. Been kind of a rough go of it. No real consistency up and down the lineup. So the scary thing though now is, obviously Cousins out for the year, who, really honestly was having I don't know exactly where he was in the rankings, but easily a top 10 quarterback seems like this year. So now it's kind of all dumped into Brock Purdy's lap, and we'll see how he does. He's up until this point in his career, he's been pretty reliable, but it seems like the last 2 or 3 weeks, kind of maybe the league's catching up with him. So we'll see if he can kind of get right and be okay, be a good option there for TD Twisters. And then the other scary thing is Jonathan Taylor, you know, didn't have him for the first 4 weeks, then he comes back, signs the contract, so you get that jolt of optimism, and it seems like he's gradually, working his way into shape and working his way into being back into the major focal point of the offense, but really hasn't had that big breakout week yet. So if he just keeps on kind of this even keel 50-50 split with Zach Moss, then that's obviously a scary thing and not going to help TD Twisters out at all. And then we've got Blue Blobs in at 888 points. Scariest thing for them is the Devontae Adams just doesn't get it going. Like I said, just watching that game the other night against the Lions, it just the Raiders offense just did not look in sync at all. I don't know if it was a little bit of everything. Pass protection wasn't there. It didn't seem like they were committed to any kind of either the run or the pass. It was just the 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I think Adams only had one catch, and so obviously you've got, when you have a player like Adams, you're expecting 10 targets, 8 catches a game, whatever, and to only have one reception. Obviously that's a scary prospect going forward. And then also, it's kind of been the story of the year, is that the QB position for the Blue Blobs, and Stroud's been playing above expectations as a rookie, but then now all of a sudden seems like maybe he's coming back down to earth too. A couple of disappointing performances in a row, so we'll see how that goes going forward. But that's kind of all I had for the whip around there. Kind of, just stuff that could go wrong, I guess would be the best way to put it. But with it being Halloween, I went with the scary theme there. So, and then as for our the game of the week last week, we had a real tight one between Fargan Iceholes and TD Twisters. Iceholes pulled out 127 and some change to 125. Fargan Iceholes jumped out Thursday night. Allen and Diggs looked like they're finally, they've been putting up the numbers, but I guess the Bills' offense as a whole kind of looked better than they've been looking all year. And that got Fargan Iceholes out to the big lead. And they actually had a lot of players going in the 1 o'clock window. Thielen had his usual game. Andrews got a touchdown. So kind of, jumped out to that big lead Thursday night. Kind of kept it going. Robinson had a decent game. So that kind of left TD Twisters to kind of call their way back, which they, kind of did. And, Cousins, before he got hurt, was having a decent game. Barkley put up a nice 15 there. Then Waller goes down, which kind of that kind of hurt TD Twister's chances there. But and then Ridley had a nice 14 points. So it's kind of even. And then neither one of them got kind of anything out of the afternoon games. The Seattle was kind of disappointing. At least the fantasy aspect of Seattle was kind of disappointing against Cleveland. Judy had a decent game for Tony. But and then so what it boiled down to was John needed a bit, like 19 points out of Amon-Ra on Monday night, and looking for that second straight week where he had the big Monday night comeback. And as you see there, Amon came up just short. A good game, 6 catches for 108 yards, but just needed that little bit more and couldn't quite get it over the hump. So Fargan Iceholes winning streak continues, goes to 6 in a row, and TD Twisters left, trying to make a late push to get into playoff contention. But a close game, and that's kind of what it's all about. So that's pretty much all I got for this week. Happy Halloween to everybody, and good luck the rest of the way.